Right now, without thinking about it, you obey. There are people you have never met who can take a slice of everything you earn, write rules you have to follow, and, if they choose, send you to fight and die. And you, and almost everyone you know, go along with it. We call that normal. It is one of the strangest things our species has ever done, because for more than 300,000 years, no human being on Earth had a king. There were leaders, sure, but a leader who got greedy could be laughed at, ignored, or simply abandoned. Power had nowhere to pool. And then, in a few muddy river valleys about 5,000 years ago, that ancient freedom quietly died, and it has never come back. Suddenly, one man could command tens of thousands of strangers, take a cut of every harvest, and march them into war. And nobody voted for him. This is the story of the state, and the oldest question in all of politics. Why do we let ourselves be ruled?
Last time, all the wealth of the New World, the grain, the silver, the debts, was piling up in one place, the temple storehouse, guarded by men with spears. Will Durant treated the birth of the state as one of the great political foundations of civilization. But a state is a genuinely weird thing, so let's be precise about what it even is. The sharpest definition we have comes from Max Weber. A state is whoever successfully claims a monopoly on the legitimate use of force in a territory. Read that again. Not the only ones who use violence, the only ones allowed to say who may. That is the invention we're tracking. The moment a single authority claims the exclusive right to compel everyone else.
So how did one person get that right? The Sumerians had their own answer, and it was not modest. According to their king list, kingship didn't grow up from below, it came down from above. It was lowered from heaven, a gift the gods handed to mankind and passed from city to city. In other words, don't ask why you obey the king. The sky decided it.
But strip away the theology and look at the word they actually used for king. It's lugal, and lugal literally means big man. That's the tell. The first kings weren't gentle philosopher rulers. They were big men, war leaders. Picture how it works. A city is attacked. In the emergency, people rally behind the best fighter, the strongest commander, and hand him total authority just for the crisis. He wins. Everyone's grateful. But here's the thing about emergency power. It doesn't like to be given back. The war ends, and somehow the big man is still in charge, still commanding the soldiers, still feared, and now claiming the gods chose him. Do that for a generation or two, make the throne pass from father to son, wrap it in temple ritual, and you have manufactured something that never existed before, a permanent ruler. The war chief has become a king.
But that's the how. It doesn't answer the deeper why. Why did states erupt in these particular places, at this particular moment, and why did millions of people accept it? And here, honestly, the experts disagree. And the disagreement is the interesting part. One classic idea says, water. These were desert river valleys, farming meant irrigation, and big canal networks need somebody to organize the digging, ration the water, settle the fights. Coordinate the water, and you're halfway to a government. A second idea says the real engine wasn't cooperation, it was war and geography. The anthropologist Robert Carnero noticed these first states all rose in places boxed in by desert or mountains. Normally, if a strongman tries to dominate you, you leave, you walk away. But if your fertile land is hemmed in on all sides, there's nowhere to run. The conquered can't escape, so they submit, and get absorbed into the winner's hierarchy. The state, in this view, isn't a happy merger, it's a trap you couldn't flee.
And a third idea, darker still, points at your dinner: grain. The historian James Scott argues the earliest states are always built on cereals, wheat, barley, and asks why. Because grain, unlike roots or beans, ripens all at once, above ground, in a countable amount, at a predictable time. It is perfectly designed to be taxed. A taxman can look at your field and know exactly what you owe and when. In this story, the state isn't primarily about canals or even conquest. It's a machine for extracting grain from farmers, run by officials behind walls. And the proof? People fled it. Beyond every early state was a fringe of people who'd opted out, living on roots and herds and forests precisely so no one could tax them. We remember them by the state's insult for them, barbarians. So which is it? Water, war, or grain? The honest answer is probably all three, braided together, and then always painted over with the same golden story, that the gods chose the king.
Whatever mix of forces did it, the result reshaped the human condition permanently. Before the state, no human had the power to command a stranger. After it, that became the basic architecture of almost every society on Earth. A few at the top who decide, and the many below who comply. And notice how quickly we stopped finding it strange. The Sumerians didn't experience the king as an oppressor who'd hijacked an emergency. They experienced him as part of the order of the cosmos, as natural as the flooding of the river. That is the real masterstroke of the state. Not the spears, not even the taxes, but the story. The ability to make obedience feel like the natural order of things. And here's the unsettling part. 5,000 years later, the spell still holds. You are living under a government you never chose, obeying rules you never signed, and it feels completely, invisibly normal. We are still inside that story. Every government you have ever lived under is a descendant of that first big man who won a war and never gave the power back. But notice the new danger this creates. If one person can now command everyone, take what he likes, and call it holy, what on earth is going to stop him? What happens when the big man is also a monster? Humanity was about to invent its answer, and it would be written in stone.
Next time on Civilization OS. We've just handed one man the power to command, to tax, and to kill. And that is a terrifying amount of trust to place in a human being. So societies reached for something to bind him. A set of rules that stood above even the king, that a farmer could point to and say, "No, even you cannot do that." The birth of law. Where our sense of justice really comes from. Why an eye for an eye was actually mercy. And the feud that law was invented to end.